Biometric's Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. Visit www.biomadrxsupplements.com.
Gold label quality Biomed RX CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate-free, gluten-free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
Hi, this is Devin Lockett, the president of JobSite Route. As the son of a general contractor, I know how difficult it can be to get good food on the job site. And letting your construction workers leave the job site to buy lunch just takes valuable time away from them being on the site. I've developed an app and a program that will bring a steady stream of food trucks to your job sites every month for the low price of only $100 per month per site. That comes up to about $3 per day to have a steady stream of food trucks coming to your job sites all day, every working day. You can also contact the food trucks ahead of time and pre-order your food from the menu on our app. This saves valuable time for your construction workers and for you. It also sends a variety of delicious food served on Southern California food trucks to your job sites all day. When you think about it, it only makes sense to join the JobSite Route Network. Sorry about that, everybody. I have my microphone, and I'm still having a little technical difficulties because the mic is turned way up. But sorry about that. I was having a little technical difficulty with my microphone. Thank you for joining me once again. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Maybe I can give you guys a little bit of a laugh here to kind of help you cope with my technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Happy Friday. I really appreciate everybody watching me. Hit the likes, help me out with the algorithm. You know, the people who follow me on this channel as well as the other Devin Lockett channels and Biomed RX TV, we're kind of on a journey, right? We're on a spiritual journey. We're on a neuro hacking journey. We're on a consciousness hacking journey, you know, and we're on a health journey, right? A health journey of peak performance as well as life extension and anti-aging, remaining youthful in the mind as well as in the body, and doing some spiritual evolution at the same time, right? Honing your sensitivity to spiritual energies with substances such as haritaki and monatomic gold or ormus, and enhancing your life with energies such as moldavite. Okay, so we are on our own path and are on our own journey, but apparently there are some things happening in the planet that are the result of a phenomenon that's called the ascension of humankind. And I believe it may have to do with the fact that we're transferring out of the age of Pisces, is it? Yes. And into the age of Aquarius, right? So the planet is reaching a higher vibrational plane and a higher frequency. And many of us are reaching that higher frequency internally and externally. We see a lot of there's a very desperate attempt by the people who hold and wield power in this country and in this world right now, because they feel as though they're losing their power. Their power is slipping out of their hands. In fact, the higher level of consciousness that the overall human race is about to achieve may actually be a threat to voluntary compliance with the things that we call government, or as my man Tariq Nasheed would say, the government. And I'm wondering if you guys are really hearing me well. I see the mic is on and then I see the mic is off. I'm not quite sure if my mute button is working, although it seems to be. Pardon me for a minute here. I'm going to check myself online. You're going to hear a little feedback. Pardon me for... Okay, no, okay. So we're coming through, and the music is nice and low, like I like it. Not too loud, not too obnoxious. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out a couple of videos and a couple of TikToks that have to do with ascension symptoms, because many people are feeling the ascension symptoms. Like I said, most of the people who follow my channels, subscribe to my channels, you know, I can't really speak to their level of experiencing these ascension symptoms, because you're already, if you're following along, if you're taking your haritaki, if you're doing your exercise, if you're taking your DMSO with zinc, magnesium, and iodine, if you're doing your sauna, if you're drinking your water, if you're ionically balancing your body with magnets, and if you are ionically cleansing your body with Ionic Foot Detox, if you've purchased your own Ionic Foot Detox machine now, then you're already feeling a heightening of your consciousness. You're already on the way there. You're already coming up, right, in the spiritual realm, as they say. So this may or may not apply to all of you. I don't really know. But just in case you're feeling any of these symptoms, the symptoms that they're calling the ascension, right? Then I want to be there for you, and I want to provide you with a little bit of information, or maybe share some of this information from some of these people who are experiencing, who are more adept, more experienced than I in the ascension and ascension symptoms. So, without further ado, I'm going to present to you the ascension theory.
Development.
And we'll review this. One moment. There we go. Fair use.
Our liberation and transcendence
truly happens through revelation. The word itself actually stems from the meaning disclosure of information to man by a divine or supernatural agency, as well as unveiling or uncovering of sorts. As we've seen so far, humanity is undergoing an exponential increase in veils being lifted, and we are seeing life being stirred up and changed like never before. One analogy we might use here is as if humanity has been in the dark for so long, isolated by socioeconomic and cultural divides, and yet with modern technology, it would seem as though the lights are collectively turning on. But now, there is so much light, all at once, that it is blinding. And despite our access to so much information today, we are still just as blind as we ever were. That is, while we allow time for our eyes to adjust. Yet the root of revelation doesn't just speak to veils lifted, but our own revelation from divine origin. Belief systems and ideologies are challenged in mass as new information comes out that asks us to reassess our paradigms of identity. As this happens, those who are willing to explore new ideas grow, and those who rail against anything new only burrow deeper into their own existing paradigm. Even in the new world we are creating, there are bound to be different paradigms that people live within. We must remember that some people are filled with hate, negativity, and suffering, all of which are descending from their own pain, which inhibits their higher consciousness and keeps them rooted in a lower vibration. This does not mean that they are bad people, for the only true remedy is compassion. No matter how far disconnected from their soul someone may be, they can always come back to the light. However, the only way for this to take place is if they genuinely want to. For unless someone seeks their own salvation, they will never end up finding it. Thus, it doesn't matter if someone spends their time living in a VR reality for years, abuses their bodies, or even in some future reality travels throughout the universe. All paths through life can be taken, but only one path leads to the liberation of the soul. This is the path within. May this be a lesson for all of us too, for if we are afraid of the darkness within us and others, and we attempt to quell it by attacking it with anger and hate, then we lessen our own vibration and reduce ourselves to the same state of consciousness as that which we are fighting against. Evil begets evil, and in the words of a wise Jedi Master, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Hence, the true solution to the salvation of humanity, or the reconnection of our souls as we discussed so long ago, is through genuine and authentic compassion. By elevating our own consciousness to such a degree that our light radiates to those around us, and we become instruments of sacred transformative change by the goodness that we embody. And while this may sound to some like spiritual woo, the discoveries around this today have the power to radically change everything we think we know about both science and religion. These discoveries speak to a deeper, basic, and more intrinsic understanding about the nature of who we are and our place in the cosmos, as well as the abilities that we have and may inherit. Speaking to the nature of consciousness itself, these discoveries are so paradigm-shattering that life on Earth as we know it will never be the same once the knowledge becomes commonplace among the people of the Earth. That is, if it's ever allowed to get there. For a long time, our perception of spirituality has been governed by the religions of the world, and our perception of the universe and the nature of life has been governed by science. Movies like Zeitgeist outline and identify ways in which the religious institutions have monopolized people in a myriad of ways, while others today, such as Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's The Science Delusion, demonstrates how science has been used to shepherd people into a mindset, keeping us locked into a paradigm of physicality and nothing more. Further, these two voices of science and religion have been at odds for a very long time, sharply criticizing one another, or otherwise outright refusing to acknowledge each different perspective, or their many merits and wisdoms that they bring forth. Despite this, today new revelations about the nature of consciousness stand to shatter the illusion of separateness, destroy the dogma we've clung to for so long, and give us a foundational blueprint to create a new world for ourselves. Truly, it's how we can create heaven on earth. All that's required is our complete participation. One example of this is found in the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton with The Biology of Belief, which explains with profound scientific logic that our beliefs and self-identity are a product of our environment, and that as we think it, so shall we become. His work describes that if we spend our lives believing that my family had a hereditary disease, so I'll get it too, you are consciously and subconsciously programming your body with signals that will facilitate you creating that outcome. And of course, this belief and others can come from our parents and family or the environments that we expose ourselves to. When we look at all of our childhood programming together, we find today a mashup of countless different media programs and entertainment, news stories, passed down rhetoric and ideas that we received from friends and others around us. Who we are today was shaped by the world, and while many of the lessons that we received growing up were good and valid, many others were simply long-held beliefs that have been passed down for generations, yet may not hold our highest interest at heart. These beliefs shaped our perspective of the world, and in that, how we behave and act, which leads us to create our destinies. As it would seem, many of the belief systems we hold on to disempower ourselves from being able to live our lives to the fullest. Further, many of the largest industries today are built upon previous paradigms, and so their continued growth means the limiting of this new understanding. For example, we return here to the pharmaceutical industry. If you help someone cure their depression, it's very difficult to justify charging them thousands of dollars a year for a prescription. It is far easier and much more lucrative that their depression or illness will be with them for a very long time. We must understand that the environment has played a very significant role in the creation of our collective reality, even from the moment that we were conceived and all of the experience that we've had since birth. And while birth defects do exist, Bruce's research says that 95% of people have perfectly fine DNA and can change how their genes are expressing themselves if they will it so. For some, this may be easier than it is for others, but it's very empowering research nonetheless. If we can change the signals our bodies are receiving, the thoughts and feelings we tell ourselves and receive from others, the places we live, the music we listen to, the food that we eat, the entertainment we watch, all of these aspects will play a role in reshaping our lives by influencing us from surface to very deep levels. As Bruce's work suggests, it doesn't matter what ails you. If you can address the root cause and provide yourself with a stimulus of a higher vibration, there is nothing that you cannot heal. To add even more weight to the conversation of science and spirituality finding union, as we go back in time to explore the practices of our ancient world, we find the roots of spirituality steeped in mysticism. To many cultures, such as the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Indians, Native American shamans, and other Aborigine tribes, we find a great body of wisdom concerned with mystical and altered states of consciousness, as well as the use of psychedelic plant medicine. Today, and thanks to some amazing scientific pioneers, such as Dr. Rick Strassman, and even the darker experiments we've explored already concerning psychedelics, these substances are powerful tools that can be used in a myriad of ways. The stories of the Montauk experiment say that people in the labs had their psychic abilities enhanced to the point where they could materialize objects out of thin air, but at the cost of their emotional and mental stability. This further alludes to the theories put forth by psychedelic scientists, who discuss and theorize that there may be other dimensions or realms of existence that seem to exist all around us, which psychedelics give us access to not just to visualize, but interact with, which enhance our own psychic abilities. It is herein we find a powerful surge of revelation that pours through concerning science and religion.
Dimethyltryptamine, DMT, ayahuasca.
To visit you during your journeys, including meeting ascended masters such as Thoth, Jesus, or Buddha, magical beings such as elves or dragons, or even aliens of a wide variety of kinds. It's almost as if to suggest that while material science has focused on understanding the workings of the third dimension, religions of the world have more focus around interacting with these higher realms and the beings who inhabit them. Psychedelics, then, while not the only method of communication and interaction with higher dimensions, do seem to be a potent tool for bridging our consciousness with higher worlds and connecting the gap between the material and the immaterial. And this is only one of several uses of psychedelics, for just as much as they may expand our sensory awareness outside of us into other planes of existence, so too do they expand our awareness inside of us, bringing to light and visualizing the subconscious and unconscious aspects of ourselves, which may be used in shifting and restructuring our inner frame of being. As the Institute of Noetic Sciences is proving today, along with what was put forth by Dr. Bruce Lipton, our consciousness and intention steers our reality, steers our focus and therefore our actions. As it relates to sacred ceremonies, treating it as a holy and sacred experience would yield entirely different experiences than treating it as a party drug. And so while deep healing can happen with plant medicine, that doesn't mean that it will happen, and ultimately, it comes down to you. Today, a remarkable number of testimonials have been shared from those who have participated in these plant medicine ceremonies, especially when under the care of a true shaman. These kinds of ceremonies provide a sacred space for purging darkness, revealing profound truth, finding healing and forgiveness, and the merging of the soul. But it's not just ayahuasca, for even psilocybin mushrooms are showing tremendous success rates in clinical trials for helping people cure their depression, anxiety, or addiction to smoking, drinking, and other substance abuses, far above any other conventional methods for treating the same things. This is something that we must learn to take seriously, but we also must approach it with caution. Just as much as there are genuine shamans and amazing pure-hearted healing centers, there are also plant medicine charlatans who will attempt to use these vulnerable states that the psychedelic states facilitates and use them for malicious or self-centered purposes. This can happen when the intention of the space or the shamans are not fully in alignment with the soul, nor in authenticity or integrity. For this reason, we personally at Spirit Science will only recommend healing centers that we have been to and verified their quality, and we highly recommend watching our YouTube movie, Are Miracles Real? The Secret Mysteries of Ayahuasca, if you haven't seen it already. Set, setting, and substance are all important when it comes to plant medicine healing, and often just doing something local in a city with untrained shamans or just going with the cheapest option available can do more damage than good. Someone who might truly benefit from a ceremony could all the same have a psychotic breakdown if they have too much in an improper environment or with shamans who are unfit to deal with the depth of psychic energy that is released in the ceremony. And to that end, this very well may be one of the aspects of psychedelics that we as a species will have to grapple with. For their return
to our lives.
I've done a lot of shrooms
Way,
myself.
just as the ancient mystics practiced so long ago, comes with the revelation of a deeper psychic connection with one another. This notion alone may bring with it a great deal of chaos as we come to recognize that our thoughts and feelings are not isolated within us, but extend beyond us in a field and connect with others in an intimate way. This awareness will ultimately bring us together, but the fear of it will also drive many to violently oppose it and deny its existence. One arcane piece of wisdom that may further add weight to this notion is that change is a universal constant. Yet our society and collective egos are often built upon a long-lasting sense of permanence. We often avoid change if we can, and this leads to holding on to things for longer than we ought to, which of course creates more suffering in the process. For those who embrace these mystical states, who explore the nature of higher realms, whether through plant medicine, meditation, lucid dreaming, or through other spiritual practices, a new paradigm begins to emerge, and in this world, true transcendence becomes possible, and the changes that are coming over the following decades will be much easier than they may be otherwise. This has to be a personal choice for each of us, as many will choose to fight for the old paradigm, and the transition to the new may be even more chaotic and uncomfortable for those who do. And just as the scientific paradigms go through profound changes, revealing an even more connected understanding of reality, so too will the world's religions be forced to transform. If people en masse begin experiencing the ascended master avatars together in these higher worlds, then religious separation must fall away, as the many dogmas of the world too break down, revealing a much more universal truth, true unity consciousness, and the demiurgic state of being can no longer survive within our bodies and minds. We discover that we truly are made in the image of the Creator, meaning that the spiritual essence, call it God, Source, Spirit, or even Sophia if you prefer, is a creative essence, and this same power moves through us too. We are creators in our own right. All that has been created so far in our world is a result of our thoughts, feelings, and labor, and just as we have created a mass disconnection, so too can we create connection, unity, and love. And yet, this is still not the end in the birthing process of the new paradigm. For if we choose to embrace the belief of it, we may just allow ourselves to experience ascension. If we look back into ancient history, there are stories told about something so much greater in store for us, the freeing of earthbound limitations that keep us tethered to this plane of being. The concept of ascension itself mostly came from the stories of Jesus as he rose to heaven after his resurrection, ascending to a higher plane. But we also see it spanning back through Greek, Indian, and even Egyptian mythology, which told stories of beings who transformed into deities through their striving for wisdom. The tales of the Greek Hermes Trismegistus are especially prominent here, as well as what is written in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. According to what is told of Hermes, he was a man who mastered the 3 parts of the wisdom that makes up the whole universe, and in doing so transformed himself into a god. These 3 parts are as follows: alchemy, the union of matter and energies from one state into another; astrology, the understanding of the cosmic cycles and how time and space bend and flow from state to state around us; and theurgy, the understanding of spiritual practice, including magical rituals and the invocation of the divine powers around and through us to produce lasting change in this world and the next. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, who is also often equated as the same being as Hermes, it tells a story about how upon ancient Atlantis, long before the fall of consciousness, a man named Chiketet Aralik Vomalites sought after cosmic wisdom and made this the focus of his life and his devotion. And as a result of his efforts, putting all other earthly pleasures beside him, he found his way into sacred spaces unavailable to the masses deep within the earth, and in doing so became a god, a master of time and space, free to move bodily between dimensions as well as through time. In these writings, Thoth, mirroring the words of Jesus, tells us that we too may follow in these pathways, and may also attain to these levels of consciousness if we should so desire. And from these kinds of stories, we must ask ourselves, could it truly be possible to master our bodies, our minds, and our consciousness to such a degree that we could break free from not only the limits of our human world, but even the bonds of time, space, and gravity? What if through our consciousness, we could perform feats and miracles that rivaled the ascended masters of the past? Stories of Jesus say that he could walk on water, heal the sick, raise the dead, and after he himself returned from the dead, he lifted his body into the air and disappeared into heaven. How might we explain this scientifically with our new understanding of consciousness? Perhaps with enough conscious presence within the body, and with a strong enough energetic field or light body, we could begin to learn how to control the forces of nature. In science today, we know them as the strong force, the weak force, the electromagnetic force, and gravity. The strong force binds the atomic nucleus. The weak force controls radioactive decay. The electromagnetic force binds molecules together, and gravity binds bulk matter. Out of these 4, gravity is the least understood, having seemingly negligible effects on molecules or atoms due to their mass. Being a curvature in space-time, it isn't like the other forces, as it appears to be one of the fundamental guiding aspects of our reality. The force of gravity is somewhat of an illusion though, as current theories state that matter tells space-time how to curve, and space-time tells matter how to move. Then again, Nikola Tesla fundamentally disagreed that space was curved, and beheld different theories of gravity which are still contested today, since gravity is not well understood. The level of mastery we would require to overcome these forces, however, would be outstanding. Consider, to move your physical body into another dimension or even through the dimension of time, would require that you have such an incredible amount of conscious presence flowing through each and every atom of your body, and even understand how these forces apply themselves to your body in order to move your form from one state to another without losing limbs, organs, or even just becoming lost in time forever. On one hand, this may be possible with enough technological know-how, yet on the other hand, true transcendent liberation may only come through utilizing our biological technology that we have been given. With spiritual devotion, it is likely that the first aspect we would learn to manipulate would be gravity, giving us the ability to levitate and move our bodies in 3 dimensions through space by understanding and warping it around us. Then, greater levels of mastery will enable us control over the electromagnetic force, meaning our molecules. This may give us power to change how our bodies appear, and potentially even support our body's renewal long past what we would normally consider possible. This may be the secret to physical immortality. After that, we could learn to consciously play with our atoms, which would support us in transforming our bodies and potentially other objects at will. Is this what Thoth described when he said he was
free to move through time and space?
Could that be
Or could it be
what
what
the
was said about
junk
the ancient
DNA
Greeks
is for
and
in
how
our
they were
DNA
able to
strand?
change their
bodies at will? As we master the forces of nature, especially understanding the forces at a subatomic level, we may also enable ourselves to become quantumly entangled through time and space. We may learn how to physically time travel or move into other dimensions of reality. We can travel throughout the universe and search for new planets and other species to connect with. As we explored previously, often stories of profound DMT experiences, people describe arriving in elaborate geometric cities and meeting beings of light. While psychedelics can sometimes give us a glimpse of seeing these worlds temporarily, with a high enough level of mastery over the forces of nature, it may be possible to travel there bodily. What's especially curious about this entire theory, however, is that it seems to depend entirely upon our own belief systems as to whether it becomes possible. And yet, this is self-evident by nearly all of our technological evolution today, and the speed at which we may attain these levels also depends entirely on us. Think about it. If nobody ever had any interest in building a car, or collectively we didn't believe that an automobile was even possible, then we would all still be riding horses right now. There was a time in mass when nobody believed it would be possible to ever set foot on the moon, until enough stories, like the writings of Jules Verne, inspired enough imaginations, and suddenly this once impossibility became a collective dream, and then transformed into an actual ambition. But had those books never been written, and the dreams never believed or considered, we certainly wouldn't have rockets going up and down into the atmosphere.
Notice he didn't say it actually happened.
Therefore, this process of ascension may take no time at all, or it may take thousands of years for us to attain this level of mastery. It really depends on us and our desire to reach into this kind of higher reality. For many, this future feels out of reach without significant help, as nearly all of us are lost to some degree within the demiurge, doing our best within the circumstances that have befallen us in life, and the amount of healing work and spiritual discipline that is required to be done is tremendous. Further, not all souls are willing to embrace this information, for it is an entirely new paradigm of belief that conflicts with their existing one, and thus it is far easier and far safer to not consider anything new. And that's the ultimate caveat here. Just as we explored before, if you want to believe a belief system that doesn't agree with the majority of the world, such as the earth being flat or even hollow, either way, your belief system will inform your actions, and this dictates the quality of your life. And then we have to ask the question, if someone believed in something that was completely untrue, but this person had a happier life, would we find the argument that this belief, even if untrue, was a good one to hold? Asked in a simpler way, is it better to be right or to be happy or fulfilled? It seems in the end, this is something for each of us to decide. For while so many look to these conspiracy theories with fear of the influence of control imposed upon them, does that not also indicate that their beliefs limit what they are capable of doing based on the control systems that they believe are there? However, if at the highest level of creative powers behind all things in the universe is truly benevolent, as nearly every spirituality of the world has purported since the dawn of man, then that would also indicate that the deep state and all the negative powers that be are also a part of the divine order, even necessary for us for some reason, perhaps in learning the lessons of who we are on our great journey of discovery as humans. These conspiracy theories, while certainly dark and often terrible, could even be a fundamental necessity in order for ascension to take place one day in the future. While for some, the ascension paradigm resonates true and certain, for others, there is doubt and skepticism, fear and loathing. And certainly, it is for each of us to find our own truth and to embrace all that life has to offer with open hearts and minds. What happens if you embrace the ascension path, but at the end of your life, you still cannot fly? Does that make you wrong? Or does that simply mean that you have more work to do on your soul path before you can get there? We may also be reminded of the legendary 4-minute mile, in which for as long as history can tell, humanity believed it was impossible to run a mile in only 4 minutes. That is, until 1954, when Roger Bannister completed the run in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. Then, like explosions going off around the world, the 4-minute mile was broken again and again and again.
Right about the time of the integration of the sports.
Suddenly, a new paradigm was entered, and now running 4-minute miles are commonplace. What this shows us, it would only take one person publicly demonstrating that they can levitate their body, revealing this gift to the world, that would trigger the ultimate of revelations, tremendous chaos most likely, as belief systems and paradigms shifted all over the world, and we begin to emerge into a new, ascended reality. Then again, as we've seen time and time again, there are countless ways in which ideas like this are covered up, laughed at, insulted, or avoided altogether. As we've seen, the mainstream world likes to focus on specific things at specific times and facilitate micro and mass action through everything from fear to censorship. If there's one thing we've learned from this whole conspiracy theory of everything, is that this information is out there, but it's also not the most important thing to most people. But as long as the mainstream dictates the global conversation, and spirituality is hidden and veiled within entertainment as pure fiction, then perhaps these future transcendent realities will always be just out of our reach, as it's up to each of us to make personal decisions that steer us towards what we want, and realize that on the path up the mountain of transcendence lies an ever-increasing mountain of traps. The demiurge is very tricky, and it won't let go unless you shine your light bright enough to free yourself from the veil of the night. For the nature of the demiurge is to steer us further into the illusions, and it's our journey to work our way out. But hey, all of this, it's just a theory, a conspiracy theory of everything.
And you know what? The truth is, this is one of our goals that we hold for ourselves within our very own mystery school, which was established to help facilitate the evolution of consciousness for those who truly want to do the work and go the distance.
Spirit verse, I love spirit verse videos. Fair use spirit verse, I really appreciate it. But you know, that was ascension theory. I'm really talking in this video about ascension symptoms. And that has to do with what's going on right now, okay? Ascension symptoms. So we're going to hear what a couple of people are talking about. You may or may not agree with what they're saying, okay? You may or may not have had any of the experiences that they are outlining with regard to ascension symptoms. But I just want you to be aware that this is going on, and so this is something that people are considering a pretty powerful planetary phenomenon that's happening, and so we want to be on top of that.
Creating a website can be intimidating. Digital agencies cost a lot of money, and do-it-yourself solutions require...
Gotta love YouTube.
Do you feel like your entire body was hit by a Mack truck? Do you feel like you absolutely can't get up in the morning, no matter what? Oh, can't get up in the morning. Do you feel like you're 150 years old and your knees are creaking and you can't even walk up the stairs for no reason at all? Oh, you ain't dying, Light Warrior. You're having ascension symptoms. Hello everyone, I am Michael and I help guide people on their evolutionary journey. We have a doozy of ascension symptoms right now, but you ain't dying, kid. We might feel like we're dying right now. We're getting blasted by these energies that are coming in right now, and it's a lot for the body to handle. And when we think of ourselves as the receiver and how the energy goes through our spine, goes through our kundalini, we might feel like we're dying. And you might feel that it's kind of hard even to start your day. Getting up in the morning, it's very rough. And you might be feeling like you're 150 years old. Trying to walk up the stairs, your knees are creaking. Are you feeling the pain in your knees right now? You're saying, why are my knees feeling this way right now? I've gone through phases like this on my journey, and even when I was new years ago to the whole ascension journey and all the ascension symptoms, I heard people speak about feeling old in the knees for no reason. And I've experienced this in the past, and it'll settle in. But we're feeling this right now. We're feeling like our entire body was blasted. We're feeling the pains that are going through our entire body. And we're feeling like we're 150 years old. But we're not dying. We're experiencing the ascension symptoms. And you actually might be losing your balance. And, you know, we said that the energies are going to be very powerful right now. And we're going to have to do what we need to do to actually utilize these energies, because they want to put us on a better path. We want to get onto a better path with these energies, but they are going to tax the body. Nikola Tesla said, I am the receiver, and we're the receiver in this electrical universe, and we're broadcasting an electromagnetic signature into the quantum field. So even though these energies were in them right now, you can't see them. You can't see them, Light Warriors. Can you see them? Maybe some of you, I know some of you can see them. I know some of you can see them. But we can't even see these energies. We see invisible light, but visible light is only a small fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. And if you like the combination of science and spirituality, why don't you click subscribe and take the journey? Because we're all going to be going through massive changes in the upcoming months, and more people are coming online. We're disconnecting from the old matrix reality, and we're coming back into nature. So if you are experiencing these symptoms, it's really important to focus on yourself, focus on your diet, and get out into nature and do what you need to do. Take in the natural vibes. But these symptoms right now, it actually feels like we're old. It's making us feel, can't move, very stiff, very stiff. These energies are coursing through us. We might be going through a lot of purging, and we're purging things physically, mentally, and spiritually, and it all taxes the body. We're getting prepped right now. This is a very important month, and we're getting prepped. And the preparation to accept, it's not so great. Remember the preparation to accept? We're getting it again, light warriors. We are getting prepared to accept more and more of these energies into our DNA.
Okay, now as a light warrior or as a light worker, right, by profession, yeah, I have to say that, you know, he's got a point, you know, but I don't want to get you guys necessarily prepared as a professional. I want you to kind of understand. I think this guy's got a pretty decent video. Let's listen to what he has to say for a couple of minutes.
Is your agency using WordPress to build websites? That's like carving a chicken with a handsaw.
The year of 2022 is a very powerful and energetically potent year, and even folks like a lot of you that have been in the spiritual awakening path for maybe years, some of you decades, in this year are feeling a lot of what people call ascension symptoms. This video is going to go into the most common ones that I happen to be hearing about because I have this YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of spiritual seekers, and they reach out to me and I quickly notice themes. So this video is going to be sharing with you like some of the things you might be going through. It can sometimes be nice to hear that, oh my goodness, I'm not going crazy. Or, oh my goodness, I'm not alone in this. This is actually a normal and positive thing.
A great reset.
But most importantly, this video...
My goal is to help maybe redefine your view on these ascension symptoms. For years, I thought they were caused by the full moons, or the new moons, or the equinoxes, or when there are solar flares, or all these different external sources causing this sort of like inevitable physical, emotional, and spiritual reaction that, you know, eventually, once that full moon passes, then I'll be good and they'll go away. I now see them as something coming from within myself. I see it as spirit, you know, our soul, pushing us, compelling us to live a better life, to live a more authentic life, to treat ourselves better, to treat other people better, and to really actually step into our truth and actually have it reflected in the way we think, the way we behave, etc. So I now see these ascension symptoms, which I'll get into in just a moment, as clues as to how we could be living a better life, a more optimized life, a more loving life. I'll break down these symptoms into 3 categories, starting with the physical. It'll be a physical, emotional, and spiritual. But some of the physical symptoms you might be experiencing, the most common one, honestly, is just fatigue, feeling like you don't have a pop in your step, like almost like you're getting older, that kind of thing. And this can also be combined with feeling wound up, sped up, like almost like high strung. And this unfortunately leads to poor quality sleep or difficulty sleeping, which just perpetuates this high strung, high stress, drained way of going through life. This is probably the most common way this will manifest. And in my opinion, what it's reflecting is a couple of things. Number one, the really out of alignment and unideal way that normal, everyday people conduct their life. In a very cerebral, goal-oriented, go, 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 scarcity way of going through life. Fighting and clawing to get that next promotion so we feel better about ourselves, so we feel safe financially. That type of too much coffee, you know, that type of wired way of going through life, it's unnecessary. There's this planetary awakening is coming in to say, listen, you don't have to struggle so much. You don't have to go through life from that fearful reptilian mind
planetary awakening,
just to get to the end and look
back and realize you missed it all. You missed those sacred moments when your kids are playing in front of you as you're sitting there on the computer working. You miss the moments with your friends when you could be having a good time, but you're just thinking about the next thing you gotta do. And we are being invited, essentially, to step more into the flow of the universe where we can let go, we can trust, we can work, but from inspiration, from joy, from creative downloads, not stress and anguish. So these ascension symptoms, they're just highlighting this unnecessary and high-strung way of going through life. So you might feel the fatigue, you might have insomnia, you might feel old, you might feel achy. All these things are a blessing saying, listen, you could afford to, you are safe to chill out, to let go, and allow yourself to live life more fully, more freely. Emotionally, and I don't have to tell you this, you might feel more emotional. You might not only feel more emotional, but your emotional state can shift drastically with very little provocation. You can be flying high, feeling at one with the universe. It's all good, it's all happening. You can let go and you can trust, and then one little thing puts you into anger or irritation, or where you feel all of a sudden very small, very like, oh my goodness, I can't handle my life. These dreams I was so excited about 5 minutes ago all of a sudden seem impossible because I don't have that kind of thing.
Let's talk about BetterHelp.
If you ever feel anxious, depressed, stressed, overwhelmed by the world being very much on fire, BetterHelp can step in with their fleet of licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you.
2 years ago, when the lockdown started, I think that
you might feel like, oh wow, like that life is triggering you more, and it is. It is. Our emotions are no longer able to be so repressed, essentially. This powerful, high-frequency energy, it's causing them all to be shaken loose.
Now, I want to pause there. Like I said, I'm not really sure, who's feeling these things. I expect people who are following this channel and who understand what I'm saying on my channels to already be experiencing some awakening and transformation from the neural hacking and consciousness hacking experience, if you actually are able to do at least some of the things that I suggest and that I recommend. I'm not sure if our lifestyle makes one more sensitive to the planetary ascension or less. Now I'm gonna see if I can get a glimpse of a little different perspective. Look, here we are already, number 3. Let's see what Christina has to say.
We're in a phase of very rapid energy shifts on the planet, and these changes can impact our bodies in painful ways, otherwise known as ascension symptoms. In this video, you'll learn the
energy understanding of what ascension actually is. Then we'll get into the top 2 symptoms of ascension that are occurring right now and why they're happening. And then I'll share 5 powerful tips that you can use in your everyday life to help alleviate your ascension symptoms and return your body to balance and vitality. Coming up. Hello, beautiful soul. This is Christina Lopes, the Heart Alchemist, here to help you open your heart, heal your past, and live with purpose. Quick reminder that we have free supplemental workbooks with all of our videos. Those workbooks are great for homework questions and prompts that'll help you go deeper on the content that we discuss in this video. Click on the link below to download that free workbook after watching this video. On to part one of the video, what is ascension? So we talk a lot about ascension in spirituality communities, but we rarely go into the energy details of what it actually means. So in a simple way, ascension means that your physical avatar or your physical body, or what's known as your lower self, begins to ascend energetically, means it goes up in vibration and it starts to welcome, accept, and hold more light within it. Okay, so another way of looking at ascension is that during ascension, the human avatar begins to embody higher concentrations of light. Okay. Now, in order to understand how the body actually does this, you have to remember one important term that is always important when talking about ascension, and that is the light quotient, or LQ. Okay. So the light quotient is your physical body's ability to house light. Okay. The higher your LQ, the higher your light quotient, the higher the capacity your body has to hold light. And during phases of ascension, your light quotient just keeps going up and up and up, which means that your body, your lower self, has the capacity to hold more and more light. Now, how exactly does the body do this? How exactly does the LQ go up in your body? So let's go a little bit deeper on this. And it usually follows a few steps. So I'm gonna share 3 steps with you that are very common to kind of simplify this process of ascension. The first one is cell purge. Okay, so think of your body is composed of about 40 trillion cells. 40 trillion cells. That's how many cells you have in your body. And think of your beautiful cells as sentient beings. Okay, think of them as actual independent sentient beings that live together in a community called your body. And in this step 1 of the ascension process, those cells, they've been carrying a lot of energy from your past, from wounds, from everything that's happened to you on earth from this lifetime and lifetimes before, because your body remembers past life experiences also, okay? And so during processes of ascension, the first thing that needs to happen is the cells need to make room for the new to come in. And so how do they do that? It purges. So you can think of cell purging much in the same way that you would think about deep cleaning your house, you know, like spring cleaning or whatever it's called, okay? So in order for your home, for you to bring in new furniture, or for you to bring in new art pieces, if you want to redecorate your house, you got to clear out the old and clean up the space. And that's exactly what the cells are doing. They literally purge out old energy, anything that's dense that no longer serves you. You can also think of this kind of like the act of vomiting, you know, like when you throw up, your body's just getting rid of something that's not good for you. And the same thing is happening during cell purge. The cell is literally, all 40 trillion cells are literally releasing lower, denser energy that no longer serves you. The second step in the ascension process is, now that the cells have released all of this junk that they were holding on to, now what's left is what's known as spaciousness, okay? So now the cells are in this beautiful place where they've just
I'm sorry, I had my microphone off, but as you can see, I subscribe to all of them. Victor, Christina, Lopes. Let's go back through. I want to give props and thanks and credit where credit is due, because I want you guys. I'm not here to show you their video, right? But I do want to show you their video. I want you to go and do this research, because our everyday lives is one, okay? Victor Oddo, O-D-D-O, is another. And this lovely lady, Christina Lopes, DPT, MPH, I think hers was the most impressive and very powerful contributor. But you know, like I said, thank you for watching. For some reason, my Samsung microphone is not working. I'm going to have to update some drivers, and the audio quality is going to be a lot better on my next video. Feel free, I'm already 10 minutes late on my other Devin Lockett channel. Feel free to go to Devin Lockett Reacts, where I'm going to be showing a video of the Black Confederate South. The world and the history of the world is not exactly as it has been portrayed on television and in the movies. In fact, let me tell you that closer to your face. Yes, so like I said, the history of the world is not necessarily the way it has been depicted, neither in the history books nor in the movies, and I want to kind of give a little bit of an insight into that. So give me about 10 minutes to change and do a few things and feed my son, and then I'm going to come back and on the Devin Lockett Reactions channel, and we're going to talk. Like I said, it was supposed to start at 6 and it's 6:12 right now, so I'm a little bit late. But we're going to talk about the Black Confederate South. Okay, that's what the next video is going to be, and I hope you've had a chance to subscribe to the channels that we watched today. Thank you to these contributors, and you know, fair use. Well, I'm going to wind this one down. I want everyone, as always, to stay kind, because kind is not only the new sexy, kind is the only sexy. Stay blessed and stay healthy. Peace.
Gold label quality Biomed RX CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate free, gluten free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
Biomedric's Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency full-spectrum multiple vitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasanol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. Visit www.biomedrxsupplements.com.